Welcome to Leveraging Your Reputation and Brand here at Work It Daily. All right, so I'm just going to give this a second just to make sure that everybody can see me and hear me okay. We have been having some technical issues. We've had some echoing. Some of you can't see the video, so I just want to make sure that everybody can see and hear everything okay before I get started here. So just let me know in the chat if we're good to go. Say hi, get your questions ready. I'm really excited to talk about personal branding today. It's one of the best topics, honestly, here. If you haven't checked out the Ultimate Guide to Personal Branding, the course inside Work It Daily, you should absolutely do that. Personal branding is everything when it comes to your life and career, and it's really important that you understand how to master it if you want to succeed in anything. So awesome. So hi Todd, hi Philip, Kim. Awesome, good to go. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so like I said, we're talking about personal branding today, so I'm just going to bring up my slides here for you guys. And then if you have any questions about personal branding, if you could just add them to the chat as we're going along, I'll go back and answer them for you, just so I can make sure that I get to those. And yes, let's get started here. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about personal branding, understanding what a personal brand is and why it's important to control in your life and your career. We're also going to go over how you can build a strategic personal brand that will help you succeed, how you can control your personal brand online, and also how you can build a positive reputation in your industry. Okay, these are all so important when it comes to job search, career development, succeeding in your job, even if you're an entrepreneur, anything. Honestly, personal branding comes down to your friendships and your local network as well. It really is an important thing to understand and master. Okay, so I think I know all of you guys, but for anybody who is being silent on the chat and doesn't know me, my name is Ariella Coombs, and I am one of the career growth specialists inside Work It Daily. So I am, along with our other coaches, JT and Christina, I'm in there chatting with you guys in the coaching side of things, answering questions, getting your resume, cover letters, interview stuff, all that reviewed, and it's so much fun. JT O'Donnell actually trained me personally, so it's been great kind of learning all of this stuff and sharing it with you guys. It's awesome working with you guys every day. So, all right, let's talk about personal branding. So what is a personal brand and what do you need to know? Like, what is the deal with personal branding? So personal branding, it's essentially, I don't know if you guys have heard this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes, actually, is your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. Jeff Bezos from Amazon said that. And it's truly the perfect way to describe a personal brand because it is. Your personal brand goes with you everywhere. It's your reputation. It's literally what other people are saying about you and how they view you and how they're going to talk about you to others. It's really everything about you, right? And so if you don't understand how people are perceiving you or misperceiving you, then it can really hurt your, life and career, honestly. So a personal brand is a unique set of qualities and visuals that people associate with you. And even if you don't like it or realize it, you have a personal brand, no matter what you think. It's really just, it's how people kind of categorize you. It's how people describe you and, view you. So if you don't have control over it or you're, creating a negative personal brand, it is going to follow you around in your life and career. So is your personal brand hurting your career? This is a huge thing. You really want to make sure that you understand where you could be falling flat in terms of your personal branding. Little things, like if you have a habit of saying something to certain people and you have the wrong, approach to certain things, or you post stuff online too much, or you just say things in a certain way, people tie that to your brand. And it could be positive, it could be negative, but it's something that is going to be associated with you. And it could be misperception. We talk about interaction styles and communication styles a lot. That's a huge part of your brand. The way you communicate with others, the way that you articulate things, that's all part of your brand. It's not just fancy colors and graphics and having a style guide. That's all branding in general. But you want to be thinking about how is your behavior affecting your life and career. So here are some signs that it is hurting you. So if no one is offering to make strategic introductions for you, that's a bad sign, because you're conveying something that makes them either not trust you, or they feel like it wouldn't be a smart move for the other person. Something is happening here that's in your personal brand that's making them not want to introduce you to people who could help you succeed. No one is recommending you for jobs. Okay, so you could be really great at what you do, that service that you provide, but if you have a negative personal brand, again, going back to like a communication style, for example, if you're really blunt and you're great at what you do, but you're really blunt and it comes across negatively, people are going to see that and they're not going to want to recommend you for opportunities, because it does reflect back on them. If it doesn't work out, if people have a negative association with you, it's important to kind of identify these things. And if no one is sharing opportunities with you in general, recommending you to companies or opportunities, or it doesn't matter if it's an introduction or a job or anything. If you're just not getting these kinds of opportunities from others, your personal brand could be to blame. Okay, this can also tie into some of your networking, but if you have a brand that people don't want to be associated with, or they view in a negative light, it's going to hurt you. Okay, so brand or be branded is something that we say all the time, and it's so important to kind of keep that. It should be burned in your memory, right? So if you're not controlling your brand, someone else is controlling that conversation about you when you're not in the room. So how do you do that? Like, what do you have to do here? So we'll go over that in a second. But first, if you don't have a strong, positive personal brand, people are going to think that you're not up to date, you're uninteresting or unappealing, or you're hiding something. These are the top 3 things that people will assume about you. And we all know about assumptions, right? So, it's important for you to control this narrative about you, right? So, for example, if you are in the middle of your career, or you're a more seasoned professional and you're going into job interviews and you have this brand about you, you're communicating in a way that makes you seem like you're not, interested in learning new technologies or interested in building relationships with a teammate, that's all part of your brand. It can make you look like you're not up to date, you're not willing to learn anything new, you would be a horrible person to work with. And that might not be true, but the way that you're branding yourself, the way that you're coming across, is affecting how others view you. So if you don't control that, if you don't understand where you're falling flat, it's going to be really hard for you to identify how you can improve your brand, and so you can get these opportunities that you can succeed in. So here are some other reasons to build a strong personal brand. So perceived value is a big one. So people will look at you and see, this person is awesome. They can do so much. If you have a strong, positive personal brand, you can really show them that you are a valuable person, employee, whatever. It builds your credibility. If you have a good brand, people are gonna, respect you more. You're gonna be a credible source when it comes to information. You're gonna attract ideal clients or customers. You're gonna attract ideal partnerships. You're gonna find yourself in more leadership opportunities. You're also gonna establish yourself as an expert, right? A thought leader status. You're gonna gain more recognition because of that personal brand. And of course, like we always talk about, you're gonna have a stronger quality network, because if you are branding yourself in a positive way, other people are going to want to be associated with you. They're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to share opportunities with you and make those introductions. There are so many reasons, even more than this, honestly, to focus on your personal branding strategy. So how do you do that? How do you build a strategic personal brand? So the first thing you have to do is build a foundation. You really need to get clear on what it is you do. Like, how do you offer value? And we talk about this all the time. So getting clear on that service that you provide as an employee is really important. If you can't articulate how you're going to add value, people are not going to be able to share with others, what you do. So, it's really important for you to understand and nail down and make it a concise, this is what I do, this is how I offer value. So that way, if someone wants to recommend you or make an introduction, they know exactly what to say, and it's, very clear as to how you add value. Really important that you do that. You also want to get clear on your skill sets. What are the most relevant hard skill sets that you have to offer that support that service? Okay, this is another thing we talk about all the time. In your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, it's important for you to have that support, so that way you're not just saying, well, I'm a great inbound marketing specialist. Okay, great. That's the service you provide. Tell me what your skills are to support that service, right? So you need to get clear on what are those key 6 to 10 hard skill sets that you have that support that service, because this is all going to work into what we call your personal branding statement. And that's the third thing you need to do, is you need to craft a statement that briefly summarizes who you are and why you're valuable. Okay, it should be clear and to the point, and it should not be a long-winded kind of statement. It really should just articulate what you do, how you offer value, how you do it, and what you're looking to do next, right? So, 2 or 3 sentences. This is something that you're going to use when you introduce yourself to other people at networking events or in different functions. It's going to be what you're going to be putting on your LinkedIn profile in your About section. It's how you should be describing yourself so people clearly understand what you do, how you do it, and what you're looking to do next. This is all part of your personal brand. And that message should be consistent, even if you rephrase it here and there, depending on the conversation, depending on the platform. You want to have a consistent message, a consistent lane that you are constantly promoting. This is how you control what other people say about you and how they describe you and that service that you offer. So it's important for you to craft that personal branding statement. And I believe we do have a module on this in the personal branding course, the Ultimate Guide to Personal Branding, but there's also another one in the Mastering Networking course. It's under the module Introducing Yourself Effectively. Okay, we have a whole video. I think we have a worksheet in there. And of course, you can work with your coaches to really make sure that this is a strong personal branding statement that you can use moving forward, whether you're looking for a job or not. It's really important that you have this. Okay. Next thing you want to do is establish yourself as an expert. Once you nail down that service that you provide, you understand what your skill sets are that support the service, and you have your personal branding statement. You have what you do, how you do it, what you're looking to do next. Now you need to take some time to establish yourself as an expert in this field. Okay? So determine that area of expertise and create content that showcases that expertise, right? Focus on sharing that, wisdom that you have about this particular area. So that way you're branding yourself as being an expert, a thought leader in this space. And so the more you share content around this, the more people are going to see it and the more that they're going to associate you with this expertise, right? This is branding. This is branding 101. You figure out what you want to promote, you promote it, people associate it with you, right? So sharing content from yourself, create content, share that, share content from other professionals in your field. That can also help you kind of position yourself as a thought leader, because you're not only just creating content, you're taking content that's related to your field and you're sharing it with your network. You're mixing in stuff that you've already created with stuff other people have created. So you're building trust. You're meeting people within your industry, and it's not just about what you have to say, it's about what other people have to say in the industry. So you don't have to build everything from scratch. You can absolutely curate this content, but again, it's all about associating you with this type of expertise. Okay, you can share one blog post a week on this topic, but you can write one post a week, but you can be sharing stuff daily from other people in this industry. So that way, the more people see it on your feed, the more they're going to associate this type of work with you, right? So it's really important. So make yourself blog at least once a week on industry-specific topics. The one thing that you want to be careful of is you don't want to sound self-important or arrogant by saying, I'm the expert, I am so knowledgeable in my field, and yada, yada, yada. No, you really want to write these from a place of just, I'm curious, I love learning about this, and I love sharing this because I'm passionate about this type of work, And, I want to share this with you guys. So share what you know and be helpful, not arrogant. Okay. The third piece of this is to build a full strategy. Build your personal branding marketing strategy. Okay, so you want to be branding yourself on LinkedIn. You want to redo your LinkedIn profile top to bottom to make sure you're branding yourself in a way that supports that service that you provide, right? From your headline to your about section to your work history to your recommendations, endorsements, that kind of thing. It really top to bottom. You want to see where your message is kind of falling flat or being inconsistent, and find a way to kind of rein it in and make it more part of that brand that you want to be promoting. Okay, so we have a great course on this. If you haven't already looked at it, the LinkedIn Plan course will help you rebrand and optimize your LinkedIn profile top to bottom. Okay, definitely check it out. You also want to make sure that you're being consistent and regular with your content that you're posting. Okay, so create a content schedule for yourself. It could be posting something once a week. Like I said, you could write something once a week and share other people's articles a couple times a week. Whatever it is, you can create graphics for social media. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're being consistent, you're staying accountable, and you're constantly sharing and promoting this brand that you are embracing, right? Because again, the more people see you with this type of content, the more they're going to associate you with that. And so if they need somebody who's an inbound marketing specialist and you're constantly promoting all this great stuff about that, they're going to say, hey, well, I know, Joe Smith, he's really into this stuff and he's obsessed with inbound marketing. Let me introduce you to him, right? See how that works? It kind of ties in so nicely with networking, which is really key. And of course, you want to make sure that you're getting in front of your target audience on and offline. Okay, so attend networking events, volunteer to speak at industry-related events. You can start a blog like we've talked about to share expertise. You can even guest post on industry sites to build up that credibility, to build up that reputation. This is going to help you control your brand online when people search for you. It's also going to help you build street cred in your field, and it's going to just allow you to control that reputation that you have in that industry, right? You also want to figure out, so online, where are your target audience, where are those people going? So if I'm inbound marketing, let's just stick with that theme. Where are those people going? Like, how specific can I get? Should I be posting on Instagram? Or is that a different demographic than I need? Should I be focusing my time on Pinterest even? Should I be focusing on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter? Where are my people going? So that way I can get my brand in front of them. Okay, so here's an example. If I'm an expert in fashion, let's just say I love fashion, I work in fashion, I want to be a part of that community, where am I going to go? I'm probably going to be posting on Instagram and Pinterest because that's where my audience is, and I want to brand myself in front of that audience, okay? All right. So all of these things can help you control your online brand, so that way when someone searches for you, whether it's a recruiter, a hiring manager, a colleague, anybody, a client, you have say in what shows up in that search result. If you're constantly blogging, if you're sharing content online, if you're positioning yourself as an expert, you are going to be able to control that brand to some extent. And that's really important. Okay, and it really comes down to taking the time and creating a schedule and doing it consistently, because that's when you slowly build up a really strong brand. Okay? It's also going to help you build a positive brand reputation in your industry. If you are guest posting, if you are sharing other people's content in your industry, if you're speaking at industry-related events, all these things help you build a really strong reputation in your industry that will make you credible. People are going to trust you. They're going to rely on you. And you're going to have opportunities that stem from these things. So it's really important that you do this. You're going to meet like-minded professionals. Again, you are passionate about that service that you provide, about that field that you're in, the job that you do. So you're going to obviously attract other people who are just as passionate about that. So, joining groups, going along with that inbound marketing example, joining groups about inbound marketing and meeting people and learning and sharing, it's all really important, okay? It's going to help you network. It's going to help you establish yourself as a learner as opposed to a bragger. And it's really important that you do this. It's also going to allow you to, again, speak to your target audience, whether it's employers, clients, customers, colleagues, all the C's. So it's just really important that you have a strong grasp of what that personal brand is, so you can promote it to the right people, so they can, again, you can control that conversation that's happening about you when you're not in the room. Okay, really important. So all these things, they might sound simple, they might seem like it's not worth the time, but it really is. It's a slow build up, but it will help you control that personal brand and how people are perceiving you and talking about you. Okay. So again, like I always say, you've got all the tools and resources you need inside Work It Daily. I really would encourage you to download the app, work with our coaching team. If you're really struggling, the personal branding statement it can be challenging to narrow something down to 2 to 3 sentences, right? So we work with people all the time to figure out that personal branding statement so you can start articulating that to others. Interact with other members, ask them for their feedback on your personal brand. How are you being perceived? Does this personal branding statement sound good? What's wrong with it? How can I improve it? The other members are here to help you and help you succeed. So definitely interact with them. Attend more live events like these. We have so just so you know, we have a whole line of live events coming up, and we're going to have more on personal branding, more specific topics. If you have a specific topic that you want to talk about, or you want us to talk about, let me know, because I really want to make sure that these sessions are serving you and answering your questions about personal branding, about job search, about career development, anything. Okay, so if you have any recommendations, suggestions on topics, let me know. But these are really important. Obviously, take action daily, get in the program, and use the supplemental courses. I mentioned this earlier, the Ultimate Guide to Personal Branding. It says branded here. Great spell check on me. But definitely check it out, because it is a really in-depth course. It's going to help you if you are so intimidated with the whole creating content, sharing that personal brand. This really breaks every step down so it's manageable. Okay, you might feel like, oh my gosh, I can't possibly blog or create graphics or do any of this stuff. I guarantee you can. You have the tools, the resources, and support. And after you identify your brand, you can really get started here. And this course is really going to help you and give the tools that you need to do that. Okay, so definitely check that out. All right, questions. What do we got here? Personal branding. Let's see. Awesome. Question from Todd. Branding is pretty easy if you are a SME or SME. However, for those of us who are generalists, it seems almost impossible. Any branding suggestions for generalists? So I'm so happy that you asked this, Todd, because I have to tell you, you can be a Jack or Jill of all trades. You can be good at a lot of things, but if you want to speak to a particular audience, if you want to, get a job at a particular employer, if you want to provide a certain service, even if it's a general, like if you want to be a generalist, you have to pick a lane. And I hate to break this to you, but if it seems unclear how you're going to brand yourself, if you want to be all these things and you want to embody all of these things, it's too general. People are not going to understand how to articulate what you do, that service that you provide. How are they going to talk about you to others if you are talking about, being an expert in 6 different areas? It's going to be a lot harder for people to remember your brand, share it with others, and it's going to be a lot harder for you to find a way to brand yourself on and offline. So I really encourage you to think about, what is that service? What is that thing that you do to add value? What are those projects that you really enjoy working on? And honestly, I have to tell you that if you're feeling like you're a generalist, then I bet you there's a bigger term for that thing that you do. Okay, you might not be a customer service specialist, but maybe you're involved in operations, because you have to have knowledge in a few other areas across the board, right? But you're still kind of honing in on one type of role, right? You really want to have one type of service that you provide. That said, you could have other roles that embrace a lot of other responsibilities and projects, but you want to say, okay, what would my unofficial job title be if I were to get one? And how do I brand myself in that way? Okay, so you could be great at a lot of these things. You could have expertise in a lot of areas. What would your unofficial job title be right now that you would give yourself? And how can you brand yourself in that way so people understand what you do, how you add value, even if it's in a lot of areas? How can you condense it down to something manageable that people can remember, that you can brand yourself with, and that people will understand, right? So I hope that helps. I know it's tough because we all want to be good at everything and we want to share all of that with the world, but the truth is people don't remember when you have 6 different things that you want to share, right? You really want to focus on 1 or 2 things and make that like part of your brand. It should be ingrained in your brand, okay? And that doesn't mean that you can't change. People make career changes all the time. They change the service that they want to provide all the time. But it's really important for you from a branding standpoint to hone in on that big service that you offer. How do you add value when it comes down to it? What is that thing you do? Again, I think the unofficial job title is a great way to go about it, because then you can kind of define what it is you do. And it might take a few times, and you can work with our coaches on that, but then you can kind of hone in what is that thing that you do and how can you support that with your branding. Okay, so I hope that helps. All right. Awesome question. Steve, for me, it's really difficult to brand myself. Thinking about someone else's or a product brand is more feasible for me. Yes, if you can look at examples, and we do have some examples in the personal branding course, it can help you visualize what you should be doing, how you should be, conveying your brand, gives you some ideas in terms of how you can be doing that. But here's the thing. Go and look at, I call them virtual mentors. So people that you admire from afar, whether they're business owners, whether they're celebrities, whether they're, whoever, and say, what is this person doing with their brand? And they might have a whole team dedicated to their personal brand. And if they're a well-known person, they probably do. But you can still use that as a frame of reference to say, hey, this is working. How can I take that and apply it to my own brand? How can I take what is already built so I can make it part of what I'm doing for my own personal brand? Okay, sometimes it's just easier to look at those people that you already admire, you look up to, maybe they're industry experts. What are they doing? And how are they doing it? How can you apply it to your own personal brand? And honestly, they don't even have to be in your field or industry. I'll give you a great example. So my fiance he works in safety and like environmental safety. And he was on LinkedIn. He's always on LinkedIn, networking with people, but we're both connected to a local, he's like someone I met at a young professionals networking event, and he's he's in the real estate industry. And every single Monday, he does this thing where it's Mortgage Tip Monday. And he posts a picture and a tip, and he shares it on Facebook and LinkedIn. And it's awesome. It's so much fun. I look forward to it every week, and it's informational. And I associate him with that type of work. And it actually ended up working because we just actually worked with him, on our own refinancing, which is awesome. But something as simple as that will stick with you. It will make you that industry expert. People will remember it, and they'll want to work with you. But my fiance said, that is such a great idea. How can I incorporate what he's doing into safety? How can I use that Mortgage Tip Monday format and bring it over into my own personal brand? And so he's come up with Safety Sundays, which I think is awesome. And he's going to start doing something similar. And it's such an easy, simple thing to do. Just a quick tip, 2 or 3 sentences, a picture, boom. How awesome is that? That's great personal branding. Gets you in front of the right clientele, the right audience. It obviously worked with our friend. And you're doing something simple for your brand, but you're also reinforcing that expertise that you have. How cool is that? So if you're having a hard time, go and look at what other people are doing to stand out, and see how you can incorporate that type of stuff into your own brand. I hope that helps. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let me ask a hypothetical. Where I want to brand myself as an enterprise architect, which is both a specific job title, but is still incredibly general. That said, should I pick one industry then? No. So see, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Okay, so this is that unofficial job title that you would give yourself. And then what you would do, you define that service you provide. You are an enterprise architect. Okay, now the next step is to figure out the 6 to 10 key hard skill sets you have that support that. Okay? And then from there, you would go and look at the key projects and quantifiable accomplishments you've had over the course of your career that support those skill sets. See how everything builds off of each other? This is going to help you prove to the world, to employers, to colleagues, to clients, that you not only have these skill sets, but you've done them and you've gotten results. You've gotten projects done, you've gotten results, you've accomplished things in this area. And it's really from the ground up. You're just simple things, creating that unofficial job title for yourself, supporting it with the skill sets, and then supporting it with those projects, those accomplishments. Very easy to do, right? And if you're having a hard time, you can definitely work with us, but you could have a ton of other skill sets, right? Everybody has tons and tons of hard and soft skill sets, right? You really just want to narrow down the ones that really support that type of work. Yes, it's general, but at the same time, if you can find a way to make it more specific, like, if you really want to focus on, the healthcare industry or the tech industry, if you have some kind of passion for one industry or another, you can get more specific and you can speak more effectively to your target audience, because the more specific you are, the easier it's going to be to brand yourself and chat with those people. But if you want to, focus on this is what I do, here are my skill sets, here are the accomplishments. Now, what kind of projects, what kind of clients, what kind of employers do I really want to focus on? Okay, if you can get any more specific in terms of that, it's going to be great for your personal brand, right? So, again, breaking it down to industry, if you want to work with, small companies, large companies, whatever, if you can focus in on, exactly what's going to make you different than the next person who has these skill sets, then that's going to help you brand yourself. It's going to help people remember what you do, and they're going to think of you when they need to have that specific, set of skill sets and that specific type of service, right? So if you can find any way to make it as specific as possible, then that's really going to help you a ton in terms of your branding. I hope that helps. Okay. Carolyn, so how do you know when your personal brand is too narrow, i.e. too much of a specialist, versus too broad, i.e. too much of a generalist? So that's a great question. So I think you can, if your brand is too much of a general, if you have too much of a general brand, it's going to be harder for people to recommend opportunities for you because they don't know how to articulate your service that you provide. It's also going to be harder for you to articulate what you do. I've met people, and I've done this myself, at networking events, what do you do? And people go off on, I do this, and then this, and on the side I do this, and this, and, you can go on and on and on. Am I remembering that as someone who just met you? No. I'm so confused. You're all over the place, right? Or if it's so simple, like I do marketing. Great, that's awesome. What kind of marketing do you do? I'm not going to remember it because it's so general and not specific that I would have no idea how you really offer value to come. Do you do email marketing? Do you do social media marketing? Are you a marketing operations person? What is it that you actually do? So the more specific you can get, the better. And now on the flip side, if you're so specific that you have this, long-winded thing, I'm a XYZ and I focus on, ABCD. If you're really breaking it down so much that people like to a technical point that people are like, well, do you do anything else? How can you apply that? This is usually not the problem. Usually the problem is that people are just too general. Well, I'm in marketing. Well, I do this and this on the side and that and this. And usually that's the problem as opposed to being a specialist. I think that the more specific you can get, the better, because people who will have that specific problem will know to come to you as opposed to going to, Joe, right, who's in marketing, right? So I hope that helps. But yes, usually the problem is it's just usually too broad. I don't know if you guys have, talked with people at networking events who just don't know how to articulate what it is they do, right? Well, I'm a salesperson for, ABC company, or I'm in sales, I'm in marketing. What does that even mean? Like, tell me more about what you do, what field you're in, what kinds of problems do you solve? What is that service you provide? Okay. And again, check out that personal branding course. It's really, really in depth, and it's going to give you some more insights into, why you need to be branding yourself as a specialist, what you can be doing to support that brand, and, exactly how you can do that. So awesome. Thank you. An example would be positioning it as a UX designer versus a UX researcher who specializes in one part of the process. Worries going after SME, passion, therefore limiting job opportunities. Yes. So, you can be a UX designer or a UX researcher. That's, as long as you can articulate, again, if there's any way that you can make it specific, that's totally fine. You're a UX designer, you're a UX researcher. Like you said, if you can focus on a specialization of that, that's great, because then I know exactly what you do, how you offer value. You're doing something, you're solving a problem that not everybody can, because you're an expert in it, right? I know that you're going to do this well because this is what you obsess over. This is what you focus on. So if you can narrow it down by industry, a specialization in that type of role, that's key. Awesome. Same thing, Shane. So project manager, program manager, title is for a generalist. Product design engineer / product development, is that specific enough? So yes, those are great titles. Those are great services. And again, I think those are specific, but if there's any way that you can make it even more specific, if possible. Again, breaking it down by industry, if you want to focus on a specific industry, that's great. If not, this is awesome, because then you can articulate this to people when you have conversations. And you can say, well, I'm a product design engineer in product development, and this is how I do that. And these are the kinds of industries or companies I serve, and this is what I'm looking to do next with these skill sets in this service, right? So if you can break it down so it's simple, so it's concise but specific, and people understand exactly what your lane is, exactly what you do, they can share it with other people who might need that service, right? Awesome. Cool. Well, great. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I hope this was insightful. I hope you learned something. And if not, then I would definitely, check out the personal branding course, the Ultimate Guide to Personal Branding, in the Courses tab. Super in depth. And obviously, any feedback, recommendations for topics, please let me know, because again, I want to make sure that these sessions serve you. You learn something every single time you attend, and you can take something and really apply it to your career growth. Okay? So awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we have another session tomorrow. I think this one's on starting a new job. So if you're looking to, either start a new job, or you're kind of new to a role, or you just want to learn how you can, take your job to the next level, then I would definitely attend that session. I think it's at 10 a.m. Eastern. So awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. I will see you inside Work It Daily. Have a good one.